My name's Liam. I'm 29, and about 6 months ago, I left my parents' house, thinking it would be the last time. I didn't shout. I didn't slam the door. I didn't even pack much. Just a small duffel bag with a few outfits and my laptop. I was done. Completely done. And yet here I was, sitting on the couch of my new apartment, watching my phone buzz endlessly with messages from my parents, their names flashing across the screen like some bad punchline. It was almost funny. But let me rewind a bit, because if you're reading this, you're probably wondering how I got here. Growing up, my parents weren't exactly affectionate. I wouldn't call it abuse, but love in our house came with strings attached. I was always the responsible one, the dependable one, the kid who never caused trouble, never rebelled, never gave them any reason to complain. My older brother Jake, though, he was the golden child. He could do no wrong. Even when he did, it didn't matter. He dropped out of college because he needed to find himself, got fired from 3 different jobs because corporate life wasn't for him, and at 32 moved back home without a job or real future plan. Meanwhile, I got my first job at 16, paid my way through college with scholarships and side gigs, and landed a finance job right after graduation. I never asked my parents for a dime, but guess who did? Jake. And who was expected to cover the slack when they started struggling with their mortgage. At first I didn't complain. I had the money, and they were my parents. They didn't explicitly demand it, but the guilt trips were relentless. Mom would sigh dramatically whenever I visited, talking about how tight things were, and how they were just a little short this month. Dad would casually mention that Jake was really trying, just needed more time to get back on his feet. I saw what they were doing, but I let it slide. It started small, covering the utility bills here and there, then groceries, then a temporary contribution to the mortgage. Temporary turned into every month, and soon I was covering most of their bills, except their car payments. And Jake? He just lounged around, playing video games like a guest in his own house. I grit my teeth and dealt with it. After all, they were family. Families help each other. But 6 months ago, everything exploded. It was a Sunday afternoon. I had just wrapped up a grueling week at work, and I swung by my parents' place like usual, bringing some groceries because I knew they'd forgotten to go shopping again. I walked in, bags in hand, only to find Mom sitting in the living room, arms crossed, lips pursed in that tight line she always got when she was about to be mad. Jake was sprawled on the couch, tapping away on his phone, looking completely indifferent. Dad was in the kitchen, shaking his head like I'd done something wrong. I barely said hello before Mom hit me with it. "We need to talk, Liam," she said, her tone cold. I set the bags down, already exhausted by what was coming. Dad stepped forward. "We've been talking, and we think it's time you contributed more. You're doing well, and it's not fair for us to be struggling while you're living on your own and spending your paycheck on whatever you want." I blinked. "I already contribute." Mom scoffed. "A few bills here and there. That's nothing compared to what we need." My hands clenched into fists at my sides. "I've been paying the mortgage for the last 2 years. That's not nothing." Jake, who'd been silent until now, rolled his eyes. "Come on, man, you know they've done a lot for us. It's just money." I snapped. "Us? I don't see you paying for anything." That set Mom off. "Don't talk to your brother like that, he's trying his best." I laughed, but it was bitter, because from where I'm standing, all he's trying to do is break a record for the most consecutive hours spent doing absolutely nothing. Dad's voice cut through sharply. "We're asking you to step up. The house is too much for us to handle on our own. If you were a good son, you'd take responsibility." Something in me snapped. I had given them everything, my time, my money, my patience, and it was never enough. It would never be enough. I took a slow breath. "Let me get this straight. You want me to take over the mortgage completely, pay for everything while Jake continues to do nothing, and you don't see anything wrong with that?" Mom's lips thinned. "We just thought as our son, you'd want to help your family." "And what exactly is Jake doing?" I asked, my voice calm, almost too calm. "A houseplant," I muttered. Jake shot up, glaring at me. "I hate you, dude. I didn't ask for this." "No," I said, grabbing my bag. "But you sure as hell benefited from it." Mom stood up, fury. "If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back." I stared at her for a long moment, then simply smiled. "Okay," and I walked out. No speeches, no yelling, just done. I ignored the calls at first, then the texts. I moved into my own place, finally feeling free. For the first time in my life, I felt like I could actually breathe. But today was different. After 6 months of silence, Dad finally sent a text. "Why haven't you paid the mortgage this month?" I stared at the message, then exhaled slowly, a dark satisfaction settling in my chest. I typed out my reply, "Oh, I thought I wasn't welcome." Then my phone exploded with messages. I leaned back on the couch, watching the notifications flood in. I wasn't done yet. Not even close. I watched my phone vibrate against the table, messages from my parents, and surprisingly even Jake, pouring in. I didn't touch it. Not at first. I just sat there, arms crossed, staring at the phone like it was some wild animal thrashing in a cage. I could already picture what they were saying. Mom was probably furious, demanding to know how I could be so selfish after everything they had done for me. Dad would start off trying to sound reasonable, then gradually get frustrated when I didn't immediately reply. And I wasn't sure what he was trying, but if I had to guess, he was either trying to guilt-trip me, or pretending like this situation wasn't his fault at all. Curiosity finally got the better of me, and I picked up my phone. Mom texted, "What is wrong with you? How could you do this? The bank just called. We're late on the mortgage payment. Are you really this cruel?" Dad texted, "Liam, this is serious. We can't afford to be behind on the mortgage. We could lose the house. Call me now." Mom texted again, "I can't believe you're doing this out of spite. We raised you and this is how you repay us. You think you're punishing us but you're just hurting your family." Dad's text was next. "Don't be childish. You're not a kid anymore, and we can't handle this on our own. You need to step up." And then Jake. "Dude. What? You know they don't have the money. Are you really going to let Mom and Dad lose the house just to prove a point?" Ah, there it was. The guilt trip, right on schedule. I could have responded immediately, but I did. Instead, I leaned back and let them stew in their panic, letting them start realizing, maybe for the first time, that I wasn't their safety net anymore. After about 20 minutes, my phone buzzed again, a call from Dad. I let it go to voicemail, then another from Mom, straight to voicemail as well. Jake texted, "Answer your phone. This isn't funny." I smiled to myself. Funny, that's exactly what I found it to be, because for years I had been pouring money into that house like a fool. No questions asked, no complaints. And yet the second I stopped, everything fell apart. So what had they been doing all this time? Did they even try to prepare for this? I decided to respond, but I wasn't going to waste time arguing. I replied, "Not my problem." It took exactly 10 seconds for Mom to call again. This time I picked up. The second I answered, she was already screaming. "How dare you?" she shrieked. "You can't just abandon your family like this, Liam. You know we need your help. We trusted you." I kept my voice calm. "Oh, like how you trusted me to just keep paying for everything while Jake does nothing all day. Don't talk about your brother like that," she snapped. "He's going through a rough time. You have no idea how hard it is for him." I laughed, actually laughed. "A rough time? Mom, Jake's been going through a rough time for 10 years. You know who else had a rough time? Me. While I was working hard to keep a roof over your head." She sucked in a breath, but I wasn't done. "You told me not to come back," I continued. "So I didn't. And now that the money's dried up, you're suddenly acting like I owe you something. That's not how this works." She was silent for a moment. Then her voice turned venomous. "We did everything for you, Liam. Everything. And this is how you treat us. You walk away when we need you the most." I let out a slow breath. "No, Mom. I walked away when you made it clear I was only useful as long as I was paying your bills." There was silence. Then Dad's voice cut in, calm but firm, like he'd grabbed the phone from her. "Liam," he said, his voice lower, more measured. "We just need a little help. Just this month. We're already behind, and we don't have enough to cover it. If you don't help, the bank is going to start foreclosure proceedings." I felt something sharp twist in my chest. Anger, not guilt. This was what they did. Always push, push, push. Until I had no choice but to give in. Make me feel like the bad guy for finally setting boundaries. But not this time. I exhaled through my nose. "Sell the house then." Mom exploded in the background. "We can't sell the house. This is our family home." I shrugged even though they couldn't see me. "Sounds like a personal problem." Dad inhaled sharply, like he was trying to stay calm. "Liam, be reasonable. We just need a little support, until we figure things out." "Figure things out?" I repeated, voice flat. Like how to finally get Jake to pull his weight. Or how to guilt trip me into fixing your mistakes again. Enough. Dad snapped. I'm done begging. You're our son, and you will help us. I felt my lips curl into a slow, bitter smile. There it was, the real them. Not desperate. Not helpless. Entitled. Well, I said, dragging out the word, it looks like you'll have to figure this one out on your own then. I hung up almost immediately. More text came in, from Mom, from Dad, from Jake. Furious, desperate, insulting, but I didn't care. For the first time in years, I finally felt free. But something told me this wasn't over yet. Not even close. A few hours passed. And I was feeling good, really good. I stretched out on the couch, flipped through some random TV channels, and enjoyed the rare silence of a day where I wasn't getting sucked into my family's endless black hole of demands. Then my phone rang. I sighed, already knowing who it was. But when I checked the screen, I actually laughed. Jake again. I let it ring out, and a voicemail popped up. A minute later, I played it on speaker, mostly for my own amusement. Dude, Jake started, his voice low and serious. Like he was some kind of mafia enforcer. You really messed up this time. Mom's crying, Dad's freaking out. You need to call them back and fix this. I rolled my eyes. Fix this? Like I had set their house on fire, instead of just stopping my unwilling role as their personal ATM. I was about to delete the message, when Jake's voice dropped even lower, like he was about to deliver some real tough guy wisdom. You're being selfish, man. You think you're proving some big point, but all you're doing is destroying our family. I swear if you don't pay the mortgage. Click. I deleted the voicemail before he could finish. Jake had always been full of empty threats. What was he going to do? Yell at me harder, beg for money aggressively. Before I could even put my phone down, another text came in. This time from Dad. You don't seem to understand the gravity of the situation. This isn't just about us. If we lose the house, you won't have anywhere to come back to either. Come back. Did they think I was going to come crawling back if they just let this go long enough? I tapped out a response. Me? I seem to be doing just fine without it. That must have struck a nerve, because 2 seconds later, my phone exploded with a call from Mom. Against my better judgment, I picked up. I hope you're happy, Liam, she screeched. No hello, no build-up, just straight to emotional terrorism. We have days before they take our home. How could you do this to us? I held back a yawn. You mean the home I apparently had no right to exist in anymore? That one? Don't you dare mock me, young man. Oh, I dare, I said lazily. I really dare. She let out a furious noise. Somewhere between a gasp and a growl. I continued, my voice syrupy sweet. Mom, let's recap. A few weeks ago, you told me I was ungrateful, and that I should leave and never come back. So I left, and never came back. And now you're mad at me for doing exactly what you said. That's not the point, she seethed. Oh, I think it is. You don't understand, she shrieked. This house means everything to us. It's the house you grew up in, and yet the second I stopped paying for it, it's about to collapse like a house of cards. Wild, huh? Silence. I smirked. Say, while we're at it, I've got to ask, what exactly was the plan here? You knew for years that I was covering the mortgage. So what was the grand strategy if something happened to me? Or did you just assume I'd keep slaving away forever? Silence again. I let out a fake gasp. Oh no, you didn't actually think that far ahead, did you? Mom inhaled sharply, like she was about to go on another tirade, but I cut her off. You know, I've been thinking, I said, maybe it's time for Jake to step up. I mean, he does live there rent-free. Seems only fair, right? Mom actually had the audacity to laugh. Like I'd just told the funniest joke she'd ever heard. Jake? She scoffed. Oh, Liam, don't be ridiculous. Jake isn't built for that kind of responsibility. Interesting, I thought. So what you're saying is that I, your other son, was just expected to do it, because I was built for responsibility. You were always the responsible one, she sniffed. You always knew how to take care of things. Unlike Jake. You actually— I cut her off with a cold, sharp chuck. Got it, I said. So I was punished for being responsible, and Jake was rewarded for being a leech. Thanks for finally saying it out loud. Liam, stop being dramatic. Oh, you haven't seen dramatic yet, I said cheerfully. Tell you what, since I'm in such a good mood, I'll make you an offer. There was a beat of hesitation. What kind of offer? I'll call the bank. I said right now. Mom inhaled sharply, like she was about to cry with relief. Yeah, I'll call them and ask how long you've actually been behind on payments. Because let's be real, there's no way this problem started the moment I stopped paying. Silence. Dead silence. I leaned back in my chair, enjoying the moment. Oh, you didn't think I'd figure that out, I teased. You've probably been missing payments for months. Haven't you? But you figured as long as I kept covering for you, you'd be fine. Mom's breathing grew shaky. Liam, maybe how much of my money actually went to the mortgage? And how much of it just disappeared? No, Liam, listen. Oops. Got to go, I said cheerfully. You know how it is. So many calls to make. And then I hung up. I could already imagine the chaos on the other end. Mom panicking, Dad pacing. Jake sitting there like a useless lump, wondering if this was the part where he finally had to be a functional adult. But this was only the beginning. Because now I was really mad. The moment I hung up, my phone started blowing up again. Calls, texts, voicemails. It was almost comical. 1 second, they were kicking me out like I was some useless extra in their perfect little family. And the next, they were desperately trying to reel me back in. Too bad for them. I wasn't biting. Instead, I leaned back and scrolled through my banking app, checking old transfers I had made to them over the years. Thousands and thousands of dollars. All sent like clockwork. But here's the thing. If the mortgage was barely being paid now, what had they been doing with all that money before? That question buzzed in my mind as I finally made a call. Not to them, but to the bank. It took a few minutes to get through, but when I finally spoke to someone, I explained the situation in my best concerned, responsible adult voice. Hi, I used to handle my parents' mortgage payments, but I recently stopped. I just wanted to check the status of their account. The rep asked me a few questions, then put me on hold. When she came back, the answer nearly made me laugh out loud. Sir, it looks like the account has been delinked for nearly 8 months. 8 months. I ran a hand through my hair, suppressing a whistle. What? So you're saying that even while I was sending them money, they weren't paying? Another pause. It appears so, yes. Now that was gold. I ended the call, a grin stretching across my face. Oh, they were done. But I wasn't done yet. I took a deep breath. Then for the first time since all this started, I actually called Jake back. The phone barely rang before he picked up. Liam. Finally. Dude, you need to fix this. Hey, quick question. I interrupted. Where do you think all the money I sent went? Silent. I pressed on. The bank says they haven't received a full mortgage payment in nearly 8 months. So where did it go, Jake? A long pause. Then I don't know what you're talking about. I snorted. Oh, come on, man. You live there. You had to notice something. Mom and Dad suddenly buying more stuff, taking trips. Where did the money go? He spluttered. Why does that matter? The point is, I cut in. They've been lying. They've been letting me pay while they pocketed the rest. And now they're only freaking out because they finally ran out of my money. Another silence. Then suddenly Jake let out a frustrated breath. You don't get it, Liam. They're our parents. They needed help. Oh, trust me, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. I got that memo loud and clear. In fact, I got it on repeat every month for years. You're being cruel, Jake shot back. No, Jake, I said, leaning back with a smirk. I'm letting them face the consequences of their own stupidity. I could practically hear his jaw clenching. But before he could try another guilt trip, I hit him with the real kick. You know, I was actually going to feel bad about all this, I said. But after learning they were lying to me for almost a year, nah, they can figure this out without me. You're making a mistake, Jake growled. I smirked. Yeah, we'll see. And I hung up. I barely had time to toss my phone on the couch before the next call came in. Mom, of course. I let it ring. Then another call. Then another. And then a text. We need to talk right now. I smirked and typed back. Oh, now I'm part of the family again. That's cute. Almost instantly, Mom texted. Stop this. You're ruining everything. I cracked my knuckles, grinning. Ruining everything. No, no, no. I was just getting started. I sat back on the couch staring at my phone. The messages from Mom and Dad were still coming through, each one more desperate than the last. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Dad. Dad texted. I can't believe you're doing this. After everything we've done for you, you're going to let us lose the... What kind of son are you? I scoffed and shook my head. Everything they've done for me. If I had $1 for every time they manipulated me with that line, I could have paid off their mortgage myself. It was the same tired guilt trip tactic they always used. But not this time. I wasn't falling for it anymore. I opened my messages and fired back, typing each word with deliberate calmness. I replied, "Funny. I was just thinking the same thing. You both keep asking what kind of son I am. But it seems like I'm the only one who's actually been paying attention. I'm not the one who failed to pay the bills. I'm not the one who ignored the problem for months. Maybe it's time you both learn to deal with your own messes." My thumb hovered over the screen. I almost hit send immediately, but instead I took a deep breath. I wasn't going to make this easy for them. This wasn't just about the mortgage anymore. It was about finally taking control back. I hit send a few seconds later. Dad called. I picked up on the third ring, trying to keep my voice steady. "Liam, this isn't you," he said. His voice "We raised you better than this. You know we've always been there for you." Really? I couldn't stop myself. The bitterness I had buried for years was finally spilling out. Because the only thing I remember is you always being there for your own convenience. I've been covering your debts for so long. I can't even count how many times I saved your asses. But every time I needed you, you were either too busy, or too wrapped up in your own mess to even care. And now you want to call me ungrateful. There was a long pause on the other end. I could almost feel him scrambling for the right words. Sorry Liam, he said finally, his voice cracking. "We messed up. But please, we need your help. You know we're not going to make it without you." I paused, my fingers tapping the armrest. "No, Dad, you need to learn to stand on your own. You've been living off my generosity for too long. It's not my responsibility to fix your mistakes anymore. Please," he begged. "Don't do this. We'll pay you back. We swear." I couldn't help but let out a humorless laugh. "Funny, because I've been waiting for that payback for years. Where is it, Dad? Where's the appreciation for everything I've done?" More silence. Then finally he said, "Liam, I'm sorry. I was wrong. You've been more than generous. And I took you for granted. But don't let us lose the house. Please. I'm begging you. This is everything." It was a weak plea, the kind of plea I had grown used to over the years. But this time it didn't work. "No," I said flatly. "You're going to learn how to deal with this on your own. I'm done." I hung up before he could say anything else. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and relief. This wasn't a victory over them. It was freedom. Finally, I was no longer their safety net. But then, I saw another text from Mom. "You don't understand. You'll regret this. You'll see how far this will go. We need you, Liam. Don't let this ruin everything." I almost snorted. She still didn't get it. They both still thought I was just a tool to be used until it was convenient for them. I fired back another text without hesitation. "You've had enough time. I'm done bailing you out. Deal with the mess you made. I'm not your fall guy anymore." Then I turned my phone off. It felt like an emotional weight had been lifted. But at the same time, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. So here I am, asking you all for your opinion. Did I go too far? Should I have tried to find another way to resolve this? Or did I finally do the right thing by cutting them off and forcing them to face the consequences of their actions? I really want to know what you think. Let me